Queer Archive Institute, it's a result of the few long-term projects and my interest in archives general. I could say that in 2005 I made the first open gay exhibition in Poland. It was like a big statement and coming out, and then I become more radical in the way I was working, trying to kind of confront the audience. And then slowly, through years, I worked with the queer issue a lot, also through my magazine, Big Magazine, that I started also in 2005. And then slowly with the magazine and my interest, I become interested in Central Eastern Europe and in the history and the archives. And the last issues were dedicated to that. And it was kind of natural that I decided to create kind of platform to summarize all these researches and work I've done. So when I was last year in Brazil and visiting São Paulo, I thought that maybe it would be interesting to compare the Eastern European archives with the Brazilian or even Latin American in the terms of the new narration of the so-called peripheral countries in the terms of the queer archives, and that's how the whole idea came out. And the exhibition became inauguration of the institute, like the first kind of physical appearance. Part of the whole installation for the Queer Archive Institute are also videos from the Videobrasil Collection that I somehow incorporated into the installation, and two interviews that I made especially for the Queer Archive Institute, the interview with Laerte and with João, Silvério, Trevisan.
A minha transição, meu processo. Eu prefiro falar o meu movimento do que a minha transição. Se deu de forma meio surpreendente para mim também, porque a parte que eu conhecia era a minha dificuldade com orientação sexual, com aceitar o meu desejo por homens, a minha homossexualidade. Isso eu sabia que eu tinha, mas demorei muitos anos para entender que não dava para continuar escondendo.
I left Brazil during the dictatorship for 3 years, and I went to Mexico and United States, basically California, where I lived for something like 1 year and a half. And then I saw things I couldn't see in Brazil. It was 1973, which was almost the beginning of the gay movement in Brazil. In the United States. And I got really fascinated because the gay people I lived with and my friends, the friends I got there, they were not like activists. They were just gay people, and it was part of their lives having a consciousness of how was like to be gay.
And we had the sculpture of Maria Padilha, the reference to candomblé and syncretic religions that I found very interesting for my research. Also in the terms of the queer archives and kind of queer ancestors, so new ideas about the sexuality or not obvious play with gender in candomblé and Banda religion. Maybe the most similar and presented in one of the tables in the installation is this early homoerotic voyeuristic photography that it seems like in most of the countries were quite similar. Like gay people were taking photos of friends or straight guys with the hidden camera when they were on the beach, and the nudist beaches and the first photography. Of course, the problem was the language, because I don't speak Portuguese, so to find different versions of the book, like with the crucial book by João, Silvério, Trevisan, Devassos no Paraíso, which I was managed to get from him the English version and read it, so it was also the whole process for me to learn and educate about Brazil and the dictatorship time and the conditions that all these things grown. But I think that this exhibition is just a beginning, just a preview of the first things I found. I'm treating this project as a very long-term project for years, so I think I would like to continue. And maybe to make it as an exhibition, it's important because people can see or be inspired, or even think about how they could contribute in the future with some research, which happening. Like people are surprised, like they are finding things that they maybe not even consider as an archive or something important, and it's becoming in the process. Of course, the Queer Archives Institute, it's playing with the idea of the institution itself. It's called very serious, but it's also an artist project, and so far just only one person working for the institute, which is me. So it's also a very specific strategy to work, to develop, but also to using the methodology that it's all openly very subjective. I'm trying to get always to the sources, like collecting interviews as a testimonies from the real people, like the real witnesses of the history, even if sometimes they are wrong or they don't remember something. I'm always prefer the personal contact with those people than just libraries or reading the edited interviews later on. But it's the same how I get the materials. They are all the materials who are exposed on the exhibition are from the private collections, private archives, not from the official institutions. So it's the idea is also to build a kind of net of people working together or researching in their own countries, but have the platform where they could meet and exchange the materials and knowledge. Use art, but work with the art and format of the exhibition, not only in the aesthetical way, but also as a kind of political statement, engagement. I think it's also very important, especially now when the whole Europe, and especially my country, Poland, getting more and more conservative. So to run artists, to run the organization by an artist, it's also a statement, political statement against the official propaganda, official politics of the country, government, and so on. To searching for the different history that it's parallel to the main narration, and to influence the future through the way I work with the history, because this is also what I could say the other side is doing, using the history to sometimes not even construct but manipulate the way they want to talk about the history. So in that terms, I think it's the most important thing for the establishing the institutional projects like that, to work for the future. I'm trying to avoid nostalgia or working with the archives in a way that they are nice, old-fashioned objects. Of course they are very nice and they look good in the vitrines under the glass, but important is to treat them only as just starting point to rethink how we define ourselves, our identity, individual, but also as a group. And the same way as the first publication appeared regarding the AIDS crisis in the 80s, and there was a moment of building the first communities, the same way I would like to organize people around the idea of Queer Archive Institute. To work with the Videobrasil library and archive and video archive was interesting for me, also because usually I'm going somewhere to searching for the places where I could find something, and here I was confronted with the already existing archive. Of course, it's so big that the research could go in many directions. Presence of this transgender people and in the history, and now that it's very significant, guide me to the work of Virginia, because she worked with on many levels with the topics I found very interesting: religious, gender, but also these contradictions, these changes, so constantly building identity and queerness inside. I think it was like a crucial work, and also the meeting with Virginia was a starting point for me to exploring the issue of candomblé and searching for the queerness in the religion. That's why also the appearance of Maria Padilha is directly connected with the meeting and work of Virginia.
Faltou homem aqui para tomar banho, golfinho. Faltou golfinho. Aqui, quando eu era assim, tinha espírito dentro do meu corpo, chamado Pombagira. Veio de dentro do terreiro de Macumba, colocado por pai de chiqueiro.
Then when I was searching for more historical themes and struggling of the LGBT movement, it was quite natural to find the video of Rita Moreiro about hunting on gays in São Paulo in the 80s. I also learned that there were books and the whole thing around this terrifying but crucial for the history moment. And I thought that the way of the documentary is mostly made by the street interviews with the people, their reactions, their thoughts, and this is a bit the way I like to work.
Com o brutal assassinato do diretor de teatro Luiz Antônio Martinez Correia, irmão de Zé Celso do Teatro Oficina, a notícia da onda de assassinatos de homossexuais finalmente ganhou destaque nos jornais. A classe teatral carioca reagiu, mas a caçada continuou. Vários outros homossexuais foram assassinados do mesmo modo.
And the work of Rafael Franca are more experimental and more artistic, I could say, the most artistic in the whole installation project, or what I found. But it was also interesting for me that he was from here. So when he moved to Chicago and also confront the West and or North-South relation to his point of view and incorporate it in the videos, I found it interesting. And the way that he works with in his videos in both kind of documentary but fiction, and actors who are playing into the camera but in a bit in a way like it's a documentary. I found it very interesting.
É a velha história. É aquele. Eu não esperava. Ele também não esperava. Passa uma semana. Por incrível que pareça, vem a segunda. É mais loucura.
Those three works were also inspiring me in the way I want to create the film that I'm also preparing for the Videobrasil as something parallel to the Queer Institute.